Welcome back to another episode of Field Screens Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Passenger. This movie generated a lot of hype. With its trailer coming out, it featured two guys. They're driving on the road. One of them steps out to take a pee. While he's peeing, basically they get attacked by some demonic figure. As it's going, the trailer was pretty well done. But little did I know that was the cold open of this movie. So I was kind of excited, when I went to see it, I'm like, oh, nothing spoiled. That whole bit was just the beginning. I'm gonna see how it all plays out. This was part of, I did a doubleheader the other night. I watched this and then I watched Obsession, which I did an episode over Obsession, which should be out by now. And so, yeah, this was the first part of that doubleheader, so I'm excited to talk about this movie. Now, when I got done with it, I will say, because I've noticed there's been some reviews coming out, and a lot of them, they're being kind of poo-poo on the movie. There were some things that I enjoyed. There were some things that I thought were kind of corny, and there's just some aspects to where I do think, it is kind of flawed, but I think it can be enjoyed if you head in with the right mindset. That kind of started off. This movie, what it loves to do, we start off with these two main characters. They are a couple. They decide to live life, out on the road in their little van. By the way, I'm getting spoilers if you didn't, get that vibe. That's what I'm doing. So, either check it out, come back later, or if you don't care, you can just listen. Now, with this couple, this movie wants to let you know that these two people are the most pure people ever, and they do nothing but love each other. That they want to get that down right away, and they spend a lot of time with them just being lovey-dovey. I will say that. So the guy's name is Tyler, and the girl's name is Maddie. In the beginning, he does propose to her, so they are excited about that. They're in the honeymoon phase of whatever you want to call that. This movie has some cringy dialogue. There's a part to where he's telling her exciting news, and she's straddling him, and she's like, "What? Who are you?" And he gets in her ear, and he's like, "Your fiance." And I'm like, "Oh my god, get out of here, cheese fest." Now grant, not all the lines are that bad, but that was just one that kind of clung to me. Come on now. I don't know, they try to make these characters really likable, which to the actor's part, they do their job, that's how the script was written. But, that's something this movie wants to establish right away. We really don't get into, the weeds a little bit until it was kind of cool. The cold open with the two guys, there's a car that, flies by their van. It's honking, swerving and stuff, and then it ends up crashing, and then they come up on the crash scene, and there's 3 gigantic slash marks on the car, and they get out to go check it out. And the girl, I think she sees the demon at some point. She knows something's off. Tyler looks in the car, and the dude's head gets almost blown apart by the airbag. So they just witness a grisly scene. And from that point on, this demon's basically going after the girl. He's going after Maddie. Now why? I guess whenever the car came up upon them, Maddie was the one driving, Tyler was sleeping. But I don't know, this movie does a weird thing to which they try to explain why the demon's after them. I don't know, they did a bunch of lore, and they did a bunch of try to explain how it operates, and I think they did itself a disservice because it really came off as just nonsensical. Because I'll get to it a little bit later. Because it follows them everywhere. It follows them to the gym. It follows them when they go to an RV camp. It follows them on the road when they're alone. They try to set these rules don't go on back roads, but it follows them anyway. So does it really even matter? I don't know. But I will say this movie had some pretty good scenes in the beginning and towards the middle of it. There's one where they are at the gym and Maddie's walking out. She has her AirPods in. And they did a cool thing to where they do this spinning camera trick. And she just keeps seeing things that are throwing her off. But as soon as she takes her eyes off the van then is further away. So then she starts walking towards it, and like the sound and the way it's shot, like this movie is like good looking for the most part throughout most of it. The gym scene was just really well done. I was kind of excited. That was really well done. And then there's a part to where they like park the van out like in the woods, and they like set up their own like little drive-in. But then like it starts like moving around in the trees, and they're using the projector to provide light. That was a cool idea. I liked the projector scene, and I liked the gym scene. Those were really well done. Really everything up to the projector scene. Like I enjoyed the movie. Something that this movie reminds me of, like Darkness Falls. If you recall that movie from the early 2000s, I loved that movie as a kid. It's about like a killer tooth fairy. It's basically a lady who claimed to be the tooth fairy, but the townspeople like burned her alive, and she's come back for vengeance. That movie did well because they kept the lore very simple. They didn't explain like how it operates and stuff. This one, once they started to like try to like explain it, they're like, listen, it's basically like a hobo from hell that wants to keep people off the roads and like attacks people that live on the road and that are on the road all the time. It's like, oh, so if you're just like commuting to college, like, the demon's not interested. But if you're traveling across country, that's when it wants to attack you for whatever reason. They like give us signs, like they explain the 3 scratch claw mark. They're like, that's when you're in danger. Like he wants to attack you, and he marks your vehicle that way. But then there's like signs of like where it's like safe, like holy ground and all that. Again, I don't know why he decided to follow Maddie just because like she was driving and saw the car crash scene. I don't know, but he also like attacks the husband when the husband's with her at the drive-in bit. This creature or entity, like it literally is like Freddy Krueger overpowered. It could change the time of day. It changes like how you see things during the day, makes like illusions. And like they tell you like if you're driving, keep driving, never stop. I'm like, okay, so it can only attack you when you're driving, or when you're not driving, but that's not really the case. So they go to this like RV camp, and they like explain to these people like what's going on, and this lady who's like in charge of the RV camp, she's like, oh hell no. And she's like, everyone get in your RVs, like get it started. And everyone like starts to take off. But then the lady's like, listen, I'll help you out. I'll tell you what, I'll do you a favor. Like, I'll tell you where you need to go. But then, like, as she's driving, the demon, like, pops up in her back seat and literally just rips her head off. And at that point, I'm like, what the? Like, how does that make sense? Like, if he can do that, why doesn't he do that to the main characters who he wants to kill so bad? I don't know. That literally didn't make sense to me. They come across a sign to where, like, it's holy ground, so they drive on the holy ground, but he's still able to make illusions. And I'm like, okay, maybe he can make them see stuff, but he actually can't go there. Nope. He literally opens the back of their van while they're driving and throws the husband out of the van and tries to attack Maddie. So, I don't know. Like, by the end, it gets so freaking goofy. They basically come to the conclusion that they need to drive the van into the church, and that's going to stop this demon. Which, by the way, they're showing him a lot more by the third act, and he looks goofy as a demon, at least to me. Like, it reminded me of like a demonic hobo version of Skip Bayless. That's just chasing him, like, hey, come here. Like, let me tell you about LeBron. Like, I don't know. But basically got demonic hobo Skip Bayless chasing them around. And it came to a part to where, like, it made me laugh, and it was intentional. They had this horn on the RV that sounded goofy. And as she's about to drive into the church, she activates the horn. So, like, I do think they knew they were up for some, like, cheesiness. They knew what they were going for. This was probably going to end up on the Sci-Fi Channel, if that's still on these days. It'll probably be playing at 2 a.m. at some point. But she ends up driving the demon into the church, into, like, a statue of some Bibble. So some religious theme, and it falls on the demon. The demon's like, no. And like by the end of the movie, like Tyler like goes up to her because like when the demon dies, like it shoots fire everywhere. So the church is on fire, the van's on fire. They're like running out, and Tyler's like, we lost everything. And Maddie goes, not everything. And then pulls out her ring from when he proposed. And again, like just cheese fest type ending. Now, with a film like this, like I don't think the premise is bad because again, like I enjoyed the beginning, I enjoyed the middle. They did some really cool stuff with like the lighting. I like the atmosphere of like being out on an abandoned road. I think we can all relate to that feeling. So I think they had a cool premise, but I don't think it was cooked all the way through. And I think when they reached the third act, they kind of realized they overpowered their demon. You should never do that. It's cool to have a powerful villain, but you should always have a way to defeat it. You should have an end game. And I don't think this movie had an end game really at all. And I don't think they had the rules down at all because like the monster kind of violated its own rules, which granted you look at Nightmare on Elm Street 2, like that violates its own rules there too, you know. He's supposed to be there in their dreams. In part 2, he's not in dreams. He's like he's crashing parties. So this wouldn't be the first time that it happened. But I think the difference between cheesy, fun monster films and good monster films and great monster films is usually they know how to put the monster away. They know a good way to do that. And that's usually like where these types of films, like they usually fall apart. I don't remember how Darkness Falls ended. But again, I was a little kid when I watched it. So maybe this movie, maybe some little kid will watch it and like this will be their Darkness Falls. I don't know. But granted, a lot of people are heading into this movie with a lot of hype. And that's where I was saying like they were kind of poo-pooing on the movie. Like there's a guy who's kind of a famous YouTuber. Like I clicked on his review for a little bit and he's like, this sucked. Everything sucked. And I was like, easy. Like it had some good bits in it. And it again, it reminded me of an early 2000s horror movie. And like again, like this is just a movie like I would put on because like I just want mindless entertainment. Like, you know, I just want something cheesy to throw on. Like this is not something like to take serious really at all. If you take it serious and you're like, oh, I hope we get like, you know, some crazy serious movie, like you're gonna get disappointed pretty hard. I just think that's, you know, how it's going to be. If you go into it like, oh, I just want, you know, some mindless fun, I think you'll enjoy it. So just, you know, avert your expectations for this movie. Because, again, it's not all bad. It has some promising things in it. It's just disappointing that, like, they didn't follow through all the way to the end and, you know, make it legitly good. Because, again, I think they could have had something, but they just didn't have all their ingredients in the grocery bag when they went to cook. I don't know. I'm trying to put some metaphors here down. But, yeah, so this has been my review for Passenger. Again, you know, check it out if you just need something to watch at night. But don't look for any game changers. If you want something serious and something that's, like, legitimately pretty good, check out Obsession, because I watched that right after, and I'm like, oh, there's kind of a clear difference in quality a little bit. But this movie still, it's not horribly bad. It's like a 6 out of 10, I would give it. You know, nothing horrible, but nothing game-changing. So, you know, if you agree with me, you know, or disagree with me, tell me in the comments, tell me why. I like hearing other perspectives, what other people thought. Tell me where you thought it went wrong. Tell me what parts you thought that were cool, maybe I didn't bring up. You know, if you could give this episode a like, it gets it out to other people, helps out the channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you could subscribe and know when the next episode's coming out, I'd greatly appreciate that too. Again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time.